Welcome to another special episode with my past guest. He's been on way too many times. Just kidding, because I enjoy having him on. He's a very special person in my life, very close friend. It is my father. Hi, Dad.
No,
No?
I am your father.
Yep, there you go. Star Wars already relating it to life. And here's the funny thing was I don't know because we recorded Sith Talkers about an hour ago from when we're recording this one. And you mentioned something to me where I don't know if I'm going to post this May 4th. I think I might post it sooner because now the FedEx thing, if people are listening, know about, there was a shooting at a FedEx facility, and this happened to be the same one that Mike here used to work at. And actually, his son was working at the time, and you picked him up at 10:30, right? And the shooting happened at 11.
That is correct. So just to give you a background, I, I left, I quit in December because I didn't need the second job no more, but I was there for a year and a half. So at that facility, when everything happened and people are trying to get details of the building and this and that, I kind of know the details. I know the layout. I know the layout of the parking lot. I know the layout of the locker rooms. I know the layout of the break area, the hub. And it was like I said, it's actually really, really scary. So I mean, obviously I had a bunch of people reach out to me um
I
because they
reached
weren't
out to
sure.
you. That was the first thing that went through my head was like, oh my God, as soon as I saw the FedEx. First of all, the first thing that came into my head, I'm not going to lie. So people know I'm not like this sensitive, nice guy. I'm a bit of an asshole first. First thing that came into my head was, yeah, see, that's what happens when you drop too many people's packages. Some dude freaking snaps. I know it was horrible thought first, but then I messaged you immediately because I was like really, really worried about you. Because I didn't know that you left that facility. I knew you stopped doing that, but yeah, I don't know. I had this feeling.
And you weren't the only one, right? So people at my full-time job, yeah, they didn't know if I was still there, if I wasn't. And so yeah, a lot of people checked up on me, which was very, very thoughtful and nice of them to do. I really, really appreciated anyone who reached out to me. Um it's like I said, it's just absolutely bonkers because I was working there when this gentleman, I don't know if we should even call him a gentleman, but when this you know, gentleman worked there. So the last time he worked there was 2020. I don't know what shift he was on. I worked the shift, the mid shift, the twilight shift, and the twilight shift runs from 5:30 to 10:30 or 11 o'clock. So it depends on what area you're in. So when I was there, I became a POC up in induction. And I was a POC up in induction, which kind of meant it was my area. I was in charge of the area. A POC, like I said, it's no extra money, but it's your step up to become a team leader and then to get into management, which they did ask me a few times if I wanted to move up, but right, it was my second job. Um, yeah, and I knew all the managers, everyone. I got along with everybody. Honestly, I really liked. I didn't mind working there, but besides it being my second job, obviously I didn't want to be away for so long, just working all day and all night. But the people were good. And there was, like I said, I know the article talked about the the sick, the sorry, I can't pronounce that group of people. Um, like they're Indian people. And there is a majority of Indian people that work at that facility. Um, so and like I said, so all the articles that I've read, it was like it was a hit against that ethnic background, which I don't really see because
Do you
there
think it
was
was that though? But because when I
no,
was
because there was only 4 out of the 8.
Yeah, because I was reading the thing, and it seemed to me like a kid that had a very unstable mental health issue.
Yes.
I haven't really looked completely into the article. I just know that I think the suspect at the time when I saw it was the kid that shot himself.
Mhm.
And if it is that kid that was the person that did it, you have to look at a mental health area, and this has been a big debate in my podcast recently because a lot of people are coming on talking about gun control, and I the issue is
He bought both ARs like
yeah,
last year legally.
but here's the thing though, how many times was he thinking about turning that rifle on himself, and then he has something that happens at work, and then he's holding this regret, or he's holding this act of aggression, and this is why he acts out in this way. I don't necessarily consider it a gun issue. I consider it a mental health issue. I mean, I snapped, I think you've listened to me say it before, but $850 million that was given to Belasio's wife to do, for the mental health program to fund it, and now it's all gone. Nobody knows where that $850 million is. And this is where I say the reason why I'm talking about this so much is it's a severe issue. We're looking at the giant of here's the factor that caused this. You're not looking at the real factor. Like it's related to Star Wars. You like relating a lot of things to Star Wars. We'll do this so you can probably follow along a little bit easy. I'm kidding. But like, is it is the Sith the issue, or was it the people that are running the Sith? Palpatine, the people that was Anakin the issue, or was it Palpatine that turned his mind and corrupted it?
No,
That's the same thing.
because Anakin, like, so in Star Wars terms, like, even though you had someone persuading you and clouding your judgment, you still have to make all those decisions yourself. And like I said, so I'll say this to you. Like I said, I don't want to open up a big can of worms because it's very, very unfortunate what happened. But you know, if he had a mental illness, which apparently he did, and the FBI investigated him. Like I said, if you've read the stories and stuff, you kind of know the background a little bit. But you know, when I mean, let's like you said, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when I was, you know, growing up in the 80s, there wasn't any ADD and mental health issues. Now they were there, but they weren't mainstream like they are now. And was there people running into schools and shooting them up? No. Was there people running into malls and concerts? And no. So this is what's really confusing to me is we put mental illness in a spotlight. Then why do we have more fatalities and we have more shootings and we have more violence, and then it all gets blamed on mental illness? But back in the day, mental illness wasn't there.
Well, you have to realize we're in an unprecedented time where people have never been to exposed to this much information and this much into their head. I mean, I've talked to people about MK Ultra, Snowden, all these things that we know are real things that have actually happened, and so many people go, "That's not real." Basically, because you never had this much of a microscope or a device in your pocket to be able to search up anything your government does. I mean, back in the day, if you would have heard about a scandal, the biggest one was Bill Clinton getting a blowy. Now it's Hillary Clinton pedophile rings, all these other types of stuff that goes out there. And now there's so many people that are like, I guarantee to you, it's just like giving a microphone to a crazy person. Once that dude starts shouting in the square, the world is ending, the world is ending. And you start getting a group of people that are listening to this, they can get convinced very easily. And with the amount of stuff that's on the media now and so many people that can make fake articles or post up real ones, you start living in an era of schizophrenia. I think mental health is the core issue here because right now, kids that are growing up, they're growing up with problems that would have never even thought about back in the day. Like a giant thing that a lot of people are having a pushback with the trans community and the stuff that goes on with there is because there's like a 7-year-old that the mother paid for surgery to get her kid to switch over, and then her excuse was that the kid didn't like his penis. And I'm like, listening to Jim Brewer and Joe Rogan talk about this, and it's like, did you ever explain what that was? No, he just didn't like his penis. A kid doesn't understand. And there's a whole
No.
site dedicated called transgenderregret.com. And a lot of it is because a lot of people want to be accepted by the world. And that's okay, but here's where it goes. It's popularizing being transgender, that you're a proud, and you have a bunch of undying support if you do so, even though you might not even be trans. You're just alone or you're depressed and you want attention. And so make telling a kid, it's like when you give a dog a treat. Eventually they learn it's a treat. And they're always going to be like, oh, as soon as I go to the bathroom, I'm going to get a treat. As soon as I change my gender, even though I necessarily don't feel that inside or I don't know what I feel, then everyone's going to support me and I'm going to have a bunch of friends in a giant community that I now associate with. This is their thought and this is their perspective of this. It's not my own, it's just their perspective. So with that new stuff where it's never happened before, but now it's happening so much now, mental health is being opened a little bit more because, and I do think there's two parts to this. One, it gets diagnosed heavily with a lot of people that are just experiencing other things rather than, yeah, if your house burned down, you're gonna be fucking depressed. I mean, that doesn't mean you're suicidal. That just means you're fucking dealing with some stuff. The criteria for it, especially in medical diagnosis, is dumb as shit. I score 25 out of 25 every single time, but I'm not thinking about killing myself. I'm just depressed. Sure, most of the world is depressed, especially being in lockdown. Um, but when it comes to the exposure content too, it's like somebody slammed the gas pedal down and now we're speeding instead of hitting the brakes when we should be hitting the brakes. We're trying to eliminate aggressors rather than looking at what the actual true core stress fractures are that are going on. And that is a fact of lack of community. Everybody's more tense with each other. I mean, even doing this podcast, I'm starting to regret when I reach out to guests now. That's why I'm having so many returning ones on, because trying to get a new one on is like, fuck, what stick am I throwing into the fire here?
Yeah, once again, it's just very unfortunate. And mental health is a thing, and it needs to be addressed and whatnot. And like I said, not to I want to kind of go back to FedEx here because so now my son's 18 now, and he actually works at that facility, and it was the second week there, and and he worked that night. And so let me tell you his story. And first off, he's dramatized. Like he wasn't there, but he's been affected like on this bigger mental wave. And like here, I mean, I'll kind of explain it here in a second. So like, right, he just drop him off. He doesn't have his license yet, but he'll have his license like sometime this summer. So we got to drop him off and pick him up to work. So drop him off, just like any other night. And then we have to wait for him to text us to, let us know when he's ready. But, we've been kind of leaving a little bit, right? Because I know, like, I've worked there. Like, I know you're going to get off between 10, 20, 10:25, 10:30, or 11 o'clock. So it's safe to say, like, if I have to go pick him up, I'm probably going to be leaving around like 10 after 10. It only takes me not even 10 minutes to get down there.
You're a good
So
dad. You
like,
want to show up early or on time.
yeah. So I pull in the parking lot, 10:20. You know what I mean? Like you're there. So if he's there, awesome. If he's not, then I'm there. I like you. Instead of your game, I'm on my Clash Royale game instead of the
Dragon
game,
City,
right?
baby.
Dragon City. Anyway, so here's the thing with what happened with my son. So he was supposed to work till 11 o'clock. Just so happened, this happened on Thursday. Thursday is when you get paid. And his trainer, because he was an outbound, and here, like I said, I'll kind of explain the building for everyone out there. Like I said, I think I was telling you, um, I'm a good guest right now. Like not to be on. Like I can talk about this building, like I said, and the layout, and I'll tell you about all that. But he's supposed to work till 11, and the trainer, for whatever reason, said, "Hey, man, this is your first check, right? Because you have to work 2 weeks before you get your first paycheck." It's his first check. It was 10:30. He's like, "I'm gonna let you leave early. I'll take you up. I'll show you where you need to get your paycheck." So, right, my son got his paycheck, and we're already, and I guess he had to wait in the locker area for like a couple minutes, like 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then we showed up, and it was and we left like 10:30. And then, then 11 o'clock rolls around and, everything happened. I didn't find out until I woke up because I went to bed pretty much after he came home. But so, so basically what happened though is, right, there's four dead people in the parking lot and there's four dead people in the locker area. So, okay, so and there's only one way in, one way out of this place. In this place, like you have to go down a side road where there's a couple hotels, there's like Pepsi, there's a couple other businesses, but like it's like in the back corner of this little park area, this little industrial area, just a little small one. But like there's one way in, one way out. And then to get into the parking lot, anybody can get into the parking lot, which has changed. Like I said, the FedEx reopened yesterday, but I don't know when you're going to post this, but
Probably Monday.
yesterday on the 21st of April, they reopened. And you do need your ID to get into the parking lot now, which obviously the security is going to be beefed up, which is was totally necessary. Because listen to me, like I worked there for a year and a half. I worked there when COVID hit, right? So when COVID hit, even before COVID hit, anybody can stroll into the parking lot. Anybody can walk into the locker room area. And I'm talking, and it's a fairly decent size, park. It's for all the employees, park, and and you just open the door, and I'm talking. There's just like this. It's I'm really bad with numbers and stuff, but let's just say 15 by 15, maybe that big, maybe 20 by 20 square room. It's real small. There's lockers like all around this like square, and like there's glass because like the two security guards are behind the glass. Then there's two doors that have like metal detectors, and usually they have like the spin things, and you got to scan your badge, and then you can get through the spin things. When COVID hit, when I was working there, when COVID hit, they just had the spin things off. Anybody can walk into the building. I mean, granted, there is two security guards, but they're no offense to them, they're the phony ones, right? They don't have weapons. They just
I got you. Yeah.
check people, wand people in and out.
There's a dude getting a paycheck.
Yeah, they don't have weapons or nothing. Like they're
I worked
just
security at a casino, and I can tell you, I didn't have a gun or anything on it. Someone would have done
okay. I
something.
don't I don't
would
know what
pull
they're
with somebody.
called per se, but I don't want to make anybody mad who does something like that. But they're just your like regular security guys. But okay, so like I said, so this room, like I said, it's wall to wall locker. So when you walk in, I mean, I'm talking maybe 4 feet between the lockers. That's all you have to walk. And then on the other side, there's maybe 6 to 8 feet where you can get into the two doors, put your lunch bag through the thing so security can get it. And then there's another door, but that one's always locked. That one's usually closed. But when you're in between shifts, the door's open because they don't want anyone touching the doors. So once again, when COVID hit, you can just stroll into the parking lot, no ID, open the front door, go into the locker area, no ID, and you could pretty much stroll into the building. If the security guard didn't see you or got distracted or whatever, you could just stroll into this building. So, and I've worked other second jobs before. So I worked at FedEx Express at the airport for 2 years, 2 years. And that is totally different. You need your badge to get into the parking lot. You have to go through TSA security just to get through the entrance of the building. You have to take like your belt off and your coat off and your bag. It goes through an X-ray machine. Everything you take in there goes through an X-ray machine because you're around airplanes. So the security is super tight. So like, yeah, when I went to this place, I was just like, wow, this is, it's good because you're in and out, right? Super fast. But obviously, man, when something like this happens, the lackadaisy security is what mental illness, him and this and that. However, FedEx ground, this facility I was at, very, very piss poor security.
There's multiple things that
Right.
happen
I'm
that
just
led up to
saying
this. Yeah.
anybody could have, this could have been a lot worse, is what I'm saying, is because he could have just walked right into the hub. What For whatever reason, it only, like I said, fortunately, this only happened for a couple minutes, right? And then he turned the gun on himself when he was inside the locker area. So he never went through the metal detectors. Right when you walk through the metal detectors, that's the break area. And guess what? This is a shift change, right? There's people getting off and there's people waiting for the 11:30 shift. And I was there. I was there before the 11:30 shift came in. There's always a bunch of people in the break area because some people are full time. So some people get off at 10:30 and they take their lunch and they go and sit in the break area, or they sit outside in the parking lot. So the one gentleman I saw, he was at the picnic table, okay, in the back of the parking lot. I parked right in front of that picnic table every single time I went in. Even when I go pick up Anakin, that's where I park. I park in the back of the parking lot, right in front of the picnic table. And he said he was sitting on the picnic table and he saw the guy randomly shooting around. And he said he thought he locked eyes with him and he ducked under the picnic table and he thought he was going to die. But that's when he went inside the locker area. So I know this. So in between shifts, people getting off, some people hang out in the locker area. And I'm telling you, man, there's nowhere to go. You are trapped. And I guess that's what I'm saying. So this dude came in with a weapon. You are trapped.
Wait, hold on. So when you pulled up to pick up Anakin, did you hear that the gunshots were going off? Because you said you didn't
No, no,
find
no,
out
no,
until
no.
the next
I
day.
was that was 10:30, man. I
Okay.
missed everything.
Did you well, now I have to ask you this. Did you feel something in the air? Like, did you feel
No, it's just
a different
It's
day?
it's it's like 9/11. You just you wake up, it's a nice clear morning. Everything feels normal, right? I'm just picking him up, dropped him off, normal, picking him up, normal. No, man, just another normal day.
Because I was
Because
wondering.
because what? He didn't work. He wasn't working there. The last time he worked there was sometime last year, and I don't even
I
know
know.
when he quit.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
So
is
why that day? Like why? Just randomly. Like
maybe why does anybody get to the point where they end up shooting? Why does they have to kill themselves that day? Why do they have to kill themselves that day? As you get to a point where it's like I can't fucking take it anymore. Maybe he's been holding his aggression for so long. Maybe there has to be another factor in there when it comes to work. Like when he got fired or when he quit. I don't think he quit. He had to be fired or
no, he
something.
didn't go back. So he basically stopped showing up.
So something led to him doing that, and he's been
It
festering into his
rumor
head.
is one of his paychecks was short.
Okay, that's probably then that's a factor there that you got to add in. Because that's going to cause anybody to be upset. I mean, we just had it. We fired an employee at my work, and he came back in to get his paycheck, and they mail your paycheck home. They don't want you coming back in so you don't
Yeah,
create a disturbance.
makes
And there's
sense.
a fucking 10-minute video of him flicking off everybody in the gym, screaming and cussing at the supervisor, pulling his mask down from his face and walking around like just screaming and cursing. Had a snap. Um, when you look at the factors that led into this, you understand that how you got to believe in a little bit of fate at this point. I mean, the fact that you're not working there anymore, you picked your son up early when any one of those things you could have been running late, just like any other parent out there. And you could have decided to be like, I'm going to go walk inside and let my son know I'm here. He's been waiting for me for a while. And then you would have been involved in that. You basically just missed uh, you almost could have died. Like that's why I was nervous and I was like, I wanted to make sure you were okay because
Yeah,
I
and
saw.
that's why my son is dramatized right now. And because he's think he was supposed to work till 11. His trainer said you're supposed to work till 11 tonight, but I'm just going to let you leave. Okay, so then there's one of the girls that he met in his uh training class, right? You know, they do the training together. I think there was like four of them and they all exchanged phone numbers and became friends. And I think it was Carly, but um she worked till 11 that night. And then come to find out, I guess maybe if she had a ride or something, she could have left when my son left. And she was one of the ones that got shot in the locker area just because she had to stay till 11 o'clock and wait for her ride. And that's what freaks out my son, because and that's what he's thinking. If I wait for his text message at 10:30, hey, I'm ready to get picked up. Okay, well now I'm not showing up until 10:40. I don't know, who knows? Maybe there's a car accident. Maybe it's 10:45 and
Maybe you got stuck at a
10:50.
red light.
Whatever. All he knows is he was sitting in that, because that's what he does. He clocks out and he hangs out in the locker area until, if we're not there yet. So literally he was standing in the area where four people got shot down like 25 minutes prior. And somebody that was in his orientation class that he just met, they exchanged phone numbers. And here's the crappy thing, because we didn't know who passed away, who got shot. Everyone's trying to text everybody. And of course, no response from her. No response from her. No response from her. And then when they released all the names, she was one that passed away inside the locker area. And that's the first thing my son said to me was, she worked till 11 o'clock. She had the option to leave, and she told them, no, I need to stay until 11. That choice right there cost her life. And all she was doing was like going to work, you know? So, and that's the thing. So like my son, just for him, it's so dramatic. And it's just like, well, I was standing here. So every time I walk in this building and I walk through these locker areas, like, people died here. Like,
You need to
that's
take your kid
fucking
out for a fucking ice
no.
cream or
So
something.
he comes up to me, and dude, trust me, this has been really difficult. And he comes up to me, he's like, I can't believe I had to go through something. And I looked at him, I said, Anakin, nobody should ever have to go through something like that. I have never have gone through something like that. I've been on, some stuff I've been through. I've been through some pretty rough stuff, but like, I've never been in a situation like that. So just with me, if I was still working there, I reached out to a few people that I had their phone numbers that I worked with in the same area, right? I was the POC up in induction, and I had people with me, the same people pretty much every night. And I called up Adrian, and he texted me back, hey, I'm okay. And I was just like, what time did you leave? 10:30. And he said he hung out in the parking lot until 10:40 and left. Me? So if I was still working there, I would have left at 10:30, but I don't mess around. I clock out, I go straight to my car and I leave, right? It's my second job. I'm out of there. So even if I was there, I would have left at 10:30 and I would have missed everything. So, but like I said, just my son's story is just so much different, because he was supposed to work until 11 o'clock. And if he did work until 11 o'clock, he would be dead.
Is
And
your
just saying that, like, freaks me out. Like,
it,
it's true, you know?
are you guys religious at all?
No,
Oh,
but, but this is but like I said, I look at the positive on this. Religion, fate, the universe, flat earth, round earth, aliens, dropping eggs in volcanoes, whatever, something in this life, in this world, something, right? Just all the decisions that were made just went his way for whatever reason, right? Like, it just so happened it was payday. It just so happened we were already in the parking lot. It just so happened his trainer let him leave at 10:30. Right? It's just like all these things, like, it just happened that way. And that's what I was trying to tell him. I said, look, the universe was smiling on you. I said, I know your new friend, she made a decision and it cost her life. And like I said, what do you say to that? Like, and all she was trying to do is make some money. And, it was a new job, like 2 weeks. She was there for 2 weeks, and that's a place you should feel safe, is at work. And once again, so like I said, I worked there for a year and a half, and I did work in all the areas until I got up into induction. Like I said, you walk in the door, induction is up top. You got to go up a flight of steps, and all you're doing is making sure the labels are facing up that go on the conveyor belt. Then there's the unload, where you're unloading trailers. And then on the other side where he was is outbound, where you're loading trailers. And depending on what area you're in, depends on what time you leave. Right. So the unloaders get done first, they go home first. And then the unload, the boxes go up to induction where I was. So then I'm out second. So outbound, the people that are loading the truck, they're always out last because they're loading the trucks. That's why I always kind of left around 10:30, 10:40. Sometimes I leave at 11, but the people that are loading the trucks are always there longer. Once again, though, but it's just, I don't know, man. Like I said, I haven't been religious for a really long time. All I know is somebody was looking out for my son, a god, an entity, like I said, fate. I don't know. Like,
I
but
was just saying the religious thing because you need to, as a dad, and even if you're talking to someone who's been in something severe like that, you have to do damage control. And when it comes to damage control, which you said you did, you talked to him, said, "Hey,
yeah,
man, something's looking out for you." It's also a thing to understand and tell him this is also a thing of not to look at it because you can be the pessimistic where it's like, one day that could happen to you, one day this and this. Look at it from an optimistic side where it's like it wasn't you. You have a day, another day of life. You know, this thing, see, today is promised to you, today is gifted to you. It's a miracle that you're here today, but tomorrow is not promised. Tomorrow is something that might never hit you, might die in your sleep. You know, this doesn't just happen with the gun incident. It's horrible that this incident happened, but you need to make his mind look at it like live every day like you're supposed to, live every day like you want to. I mean, I'm not going to relate it to my jet ski accident, but when I was hit by a jet ski accident, I mean, with the jet ski accident and everything like that, which I think I've told bits and pieces of the story, but it was something where I was like, I could be dead. You know, when someone told me I could have been dead from that if I was not standing up. And the only reason I was standing up was I just didn't feel like sitting at that ride. You know, it was bumpy out and I was standing. You know, that jet ski would have hit me straight in the face. Um, it, man, it's so hard. Like you almost had me crying a second ago. It's very, very it's gonna this feeling, this scare, this turmoil, it's gonna pass, but it's also important that right now you have to do this type of damage control thing and understand the situation. I was not having you on here to talk about a news article
no,
or to talk about a special thing. You're my friend, and I was
yeah,
fucking deathly scared when this thing happened, and I didn't even here's the dumb part in my brain that was like, the man said Indiana. Is that the same thing as Indianapolis? I was thinking there were two different things, but they start with an I. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to message him anyway. And then when you told me, I was like, holy shit. Like, we need to talk about this a little bit, not just for other people or good content, but on the factor of like, this is like, even if I chose not to post this episode, if it was just a therapy session between me and you, I've done it before. It's something that's important because this is not something like when I saw somebody die at the gym, fucking, and they brought him back. I was scared shitless, and I was still fucked up for the next couple. I'm still messed up when he comes in. I say hi, good morning, because the one time I didn't say good morning was when it happened, and I was like, fuck, you know, it's you never know, man. And that's the crazy part, that you should literally take life by the handles and fucking steer it whichever way you want to go. It's a very easy thing to say, but an even harder thing to do. I mean, if you want to live your life being fucking miserable, being this, being that, living in a job that you don't want to do, I mean, it's your son's first 2 weeks at a fucking place, and this shit
his
happens.
very first job. Like he hasn't worked up until this point.
That's
So
enough to
it's
traumatize someone to the point they never wanna try and get a job again, but you should ask them, be like, "Do you still wanna do this work? Do you wanna work here? Do you wanna find something else? What do you wanna do?" This is an important time to ask them on this type of stuff because it's gonna be PTSD you can get from that, on the fact that every time he walks in that building, he thinks of those moments. He thinks of what coulda happened if he would've stayed, you know?
yeah.
I'm at fault a lot of times for trying to cut out of work early, and now you're just giving me a evidence that it's a good thing I do that. You know, I don't know when nobody, honestly, as much as that was a crappy joke, as nobody knows if it's going to be your business or the place you work. It can be anybody because of how the world is right now.
Yeah.
It's fucking stressed, man. It's a hurt
It's
world.
it's very, very unfortunate, man, because you should be able to feel safe where you are at. If you're in a classroom, right? If you're in a classroom at school, you should feel safe. If you're at your job, You should feel safe.
Home doesn't
Eh,
even feel safe
no,
sometimes.
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're at the movie theater, you should feel safe. If you're at a supermarket, you should feel safe. If you're going to a concert, you should feel safe. And we've had mass shootings at all of these places, and it's just, like I said, dude, it just, like I said, now that I've kind of, you know, I'm close
Process.
to one of them. It's because you hear about all the other ones and you just go, oh my god.
That's what scares me is that a lot of times you hear these shootings and it's now becoming like you're numb to it. Like we talked about that a couple of times you were on, at least over the past couple of years you've been on. It's you become numb to a lot of the shooting. Oh, another shooting, and then you turn off the TV. It's like I don't have time to deal with that. It's like you don't understand, and it's different when it happens in your thing. We
I was about to say that everyone says that never happened to me. Like, you just know, like, you don't know. Anything can happen at any given time, right? With anything. And this just proves it, that it can happen anywhere. Yeah, don't say that to yourself. Oh, this won't happen. This will never happen to me.
it's because we live. There's way too many days, like 65,753 days. Wait, yeah, 657,356 days in an average lifespan of 71 years. So if you really take that into account of how many days you never experience a problem when it comes to your lively harm, it's so many where you don't understand like the fact that it can happen to you. Any one of those days could be your last ones. Like I had a buddy during I had like a 1 month, I think about I lost a lot of people,
Yeah.
in like a short amount. I mean, like 4 people in a week, and then it was like 7 in a month, and then it was like, dude got into a car accident, flipped over and killed him and his passenger, and there's I had my one buddy that was drinking and driving, and he ended up, getting his foot ripped off, getting his whole face, like, messed up, getting his like, broke a lot of stuff. He came on when I was first doing my podcast and talked about it, but it was like this whole new look on life and stuff like that, and he never thought it would ever happen to him. Shit happens, and you're not excluded from that happening, and it's just so very, very difficult because of how much we're okay every single day. And then something like this happens. And it seems like, what it's that shock, though, that happens for the first 2 weeks and you start reverting back to the way you were before. But to never forget these type of things, too. I mean, this is a prime time to talk to your son and ask, what does he feel like he wants to do? I mean, every kid, his first job probably isn't going to be the one they're going to do for the rest of their life. But man, you don't want to push them back into it in fear that there might be a PTSD thing on there too. There might be managers that will be like, I'm going to return to work or whatever, but it's like you've already built up something high up. If he's just in his first 2 weeks, this is a prime time to like I've had bomb threat at the Walmart I used to work at, but I left there like a month before that happened. It's I you if you're not invested like your whole 40 years or 50 years and spend into a company where you feel like you need to go back just to get your benefits or something, then you should tell him he needs to find an avenue or find something that he wants to do with his life because it could be gone just like that. I mean, this is a prime time to ask him these root questions because right now he's so bare bones, I would say. When I say bare bones, it's like your thoughts are so like you start looking over your life over and over again. If you ask a person for a week straight to contemplate their life or they survive like a plane accident or something, their thoughts are more clear on their judgments on where they want to go in life. And it's easy time to start asking them questions about what do you want to do? You'll be able to get the true answer before it gets clouded up by all these other things like paying bills or getting a new pair of shoes or doing this type of stuff. You're more focused on money, you lose the aspect of what you intentionally really want to do. It's a prime time to ask him for it too. And I mean, a lot of this stuff you have to sit and listen. And as much as he's experienced, you say your son got the most of it, you still experience some stuff too. I mean, it causes you to look at your life a little bit too and be happy. I mean, look at the things you do have, Mike. You have a fucking podcast, you have a Star Wars show, you talk with your brother. A lot of people don't even know who their sibling is, or a lot of people choose not to talk to their sibling because they just don't connect. You have a lot of things. You have two beautiful kids. You it's something as much as he might expose to a little bit more, you also have been exposed to some stuff too, but look at how far you have come. Look at what your life is. I mean, you're not struggling for food. You're not struggling when it comes to just getting a drink of water. I mean, or your case, tea. It's something you'll find your coping mechanisms to deal with it. But man, my heart goes out to you and your family, man. That was a fucking when I saw that, it was you were the first person that came into my head. And then the second was the guy that always tosses my package on the porch and fucking breaks everything
Mhm.
that goes inside of it.
And that's what's funny because I've worked so many second jobs. I've worked at FedEx Express. I've worked at FedEx Ground. Everyone at my full time job, yeah, they hear FedEx and everyone. That's why everybody. I thought you were the first name that popped up in my head, Mike. Yeah, it's just like I'm like with where I'm at. Like I'm kind of associated with. Oh, does Mike still work at FedEx? Was that the one he was at? Was he there? Yeah. So it's
Hey, now if
it's
I move, we can get a place. Split rent. We'll do a live podcast.
an in-person one,
That'd be interesting.
like they used to do in the old days.
Don't you hang all your Funko shit on my walls. Got a whole room destined for that. But it's very important. I'm glad you shared that. I mean, not just like because it's like an inside. Because I remember when I was talking about someone's like, "What is he just trying to get an inside scoop?" And I was like, "No, actually, it's more of like a talking it out type deal." Because even when I think the most traumatizing thing, like I've had near death experiences 4 times in my life, but the last one I had was that jet ski one,
Yeah.
and
No, I mean, I wasn't there, right? I mean,
uh,
thankfully I've missed it. However, I worked there. I know the layout. I know the locker room. I know the parking lot. I know the jobs inside the building. I know if somebody went in there with a gun, there's nowhere to go, man. Like you're trapped in there. So it's fun because another person I talked to, which they texted me immediately, "Hey, did you hear about blah blah blah?" And she said to me, she goes, "Don't you remember us having conversations?" Because she worked up an induction with me. She goes, "Don't you remember us having conversations? If anything happened in this place, we would be fucked because there's nowhere to go. I mean, you are trapped." So and then like I said, it's just yeah, man. Once again, your head goes crazy, right? And then like I said with my son, it's all the negative. I was supposed to be there till 11. Why didn't we give her a ride home? Why didn't I ask her if she needed a ride home? Right. It's just and like I said, and then there's me. Hey man, be fortunate. You're standing right here. Be fortunate. I'm talking to you right
take them to a fucking basketball game or something.
now. Yeah.
Talk it.
So
You need to talk it out at least, like because I remember after my jet ski accident, it was really a talk with my dad that kind of leveled me a little bit, mostly because that wasn't the traumatizing part. I mean, I had PTSD when I get on a jet ski, sure,
yeah.
but the traumatizing thing for me was when I was in my wheelchair that they gave me, and they were pushed me by the bathroom, and they locked me in the seat. I was back, like if I'm in my chair right now, like this person's behind me in a room and it's a girl my age, and that happened to be the same day that 4 people on the beach got paralyzed because of the waves were so bad. We had a hurricane that was off the shore, so it was making the waves huge, and people were going out surfing and stuff like that. And I remember the mother grabbing the daughter by the hand and then saying, "Honey, we're here." And she's like, "Where?" "I can't see," because she has her head like in a brace looking up. It's like, "I can't see you." It's like, "I'm holding your hand." And she's like, "I can't feel that." And it was like this heartbreaking moment where I started like tearing up and crying. And I was trying to unlock my wheelchair, but I was in so much pain I couldn't bend down. And it was like that could have been me. That could have been the jet ski paralyzed me. That could have been a bunch. And then you start diving in this rabbit hole where you'll suck yourself in with all these what ifs. And that's important where you need to talk to Anakin right now is like, hey, there's a lot of what if scenarios probably playing off into your head, much like we just did Sith Talkers what ifs.
Yeah.
It might not be an Ewok selling drugs to somebody, but it is something where your brain will dive you down these rabbit holes that will create fear. Your mind likes to think of the worst possible scenario in an effort that it's going to brace you for if something like that does arise. You need to make sure you focus on a lot of this
The
stuff.
worst part is obviously is just right, just somebody he just met. I mean, I know it was only 2 weeks, but still, how many people? I know I couldn't say that at 18. How many people can you say, "Hey, I knew someone who died, who got shot. I don't think that's normal. So,
Mm,
that's and now he has that. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that for me as a parent, that's probably I mean, the whole thing is bad, but like for me, that's like the worst thing is not only did, it happen, someone he knew like passed away. And that's why everybody asked me, Mike, did you know anybody? Did you know anybody? Did you know anybody? I did not know any of the people who got shot. So, but um he did. And that's another level of, of drama state. I mean, it's just a being I understand like not wanting to go walk through that locker area.
I
I
had to
mean,
read an article about it, and then I messaged you, and then I saw the news report on it, and I did not like the way the news was handling it at all. They kept asking the cop that was answering the questions, and it was so brand new. It
yeah.
just happened that day. So it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the news was like, "Do you know who it is? Do you know this? Do you know that?" And the guy goes, "I cannot answer that. I cannot answer that. I cannot." And they just kept asking the same question in a different form. And I was like, "Yo, if I was that cop, I would have told everybody I'm done with you guys." Like,
But that was the thing. I watched the press conference and the reporters, do you know if it was a shift change? Do you know if blah blah? And like I'm just like, I know. I know. I used to work there. Yes, it was a shift change. Yes, this is very calculated because he knew, regardless of his mentalness, he knew people would be coming in and out of the building at that specific time. Anywhere between 10:30 and 11:30, people are walking in and out of that building.
see, I'm not pro gun control, but I can see the perspective of like it's very, very easy to shoot something and its life be gone rather than doing another act. And just the fact that someone got to that point to be able to do so, I want to know what was festering in that kid's head that caused him to just decide this is what I'm gonna do. And this is how it's going to play out. I try and think of that all the time because it's very, very easy to say this person's a psychopath, this person deserves hell, this person deserves that. But, a lot of times, like, especially if you know what mental health is and you really suffer from a little bit of it yourself, you understand like nothing makes sense when it happens. These bouts of whatever come on to you and you're like wondering, what the fuck is this? Like,
Now, yeah. Now we've talked about this, and I'm telling you, and like I said, I hate repeating myself. The stuff that I've said previously on your podcast, but who knows where I would have been if I didn't have my outlets and my escapes. I told you, meeting my buddy Jim, learning how to play music. I got into music, right? I started playing music. I, wrote songs. I played songs. I wrote
I'd,
poetry.
I'd be a
I
goddamn bodybuilder if I didn't have the
no,
podcast.
but the point is I got into things that kept me away from drugs, kept me away from drinking, kept I did my, fair share, don't get me wrong, but like I wasn't involved in it all the time. Like I was involved with like it's like I told you, music, working because I wanted to make money, eventually, right, having a girlfriend. Like I said, it's like I do now. Like, right, I keep myself so busy. Now it reminds me of when I was a teenager because I kept myself so busy and it takes me away from all the bad stuff. And if I keep myself busy, yeah, you're not going to get into any bad stuff. But it's just a matter of finding your thing. Just like I said, I don't care if it's video games. Like if video games is your outlet for a few hours, sit down and play some video games. You know, like I said, I can sit here and I can strum my guitar for a couple hours, or I could pick up my guitar and it completely like zens me, right? It relaxes me. Me getting on the treadmill for my jogs centers me, relaxes me, zens me, whatever you want to call it, right? So doing this with you right now, doing Sith Talkers, recording my reaction videos, it it calms me, it centers me. I told my now I'm going through some other stuff, and this I told my brother the other night we recorded some of our videos, and we got done with them, and I just looked at him. I said, "Man," I said, "I don't think you know how much I needed this tonight." and
Shit,
he's
dude,
always
we've recorded episodes where you're
no,
like,
no,
you don't.
no. I
I know
know, but
you needed that.
he was in like a super rush. He's super busy right now. He was in a rush, and we weren't on very long, but like, that's why I told me we were on like 15, 20 minutes. And like I said, we got done. I was like, man, I don't think you know how much I really needed to do this just to center myself right now. And I just think if more people had those outlets and that could center and find those things. Fortunately for me, man, I have lots of things but I told you, I do it. I don't say I do it. This has turned into like therapy. Like I do these things just to kind of keep my mind off of it. I mean, like, yeah. So like on like right Tuesday night, like I do live stream, I do trivia, and then I'm recording stuff on Wednesday. I'm recording stuff on Thursday, and then I have to edit 3 YouTube videos. I have to edit a podcast. I write me and my son, but let's go to the rec center and play basketball. That takes me away from everything. Let me play some video games. That takes me away. Let me play some music. Like I take myself out of life so much. I have so many things that I'm constantly just right. And then I have to run errands. I have to do this. I have to do that. I'm constantly just go, 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 go. But like get on the treadmill, do this. Like, but I need all that stuff just to feel centered, right? I don't know. Like, and I just think if like it's once again, if this kid, if he had more stuff that kept him centered or had some interest or yeah, got with the right people. I'm a firm believer in that. Like getting in with the wrong crowd and this and that. Like I'm a huge uh I watched a documentary about it's on Netflix. It just came out about somebody who got shot and it was like rival gangs, but like this girl got shot and like it ended up 2 of the gang members, were the ones who told the police everything. And like, yeah, they're scared to death. They're scared for their lives. And it's just like, yeah, man, you're in with the wrong. Yeah, you're in with the wrong people. They got out and they have families now. They have kids, married wives, and they're doing good. But like, yeah, like I said, it, I think you become what you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with negativity, you're gonna have negativity around you. If you surround yourself with good people, I was just fortunate, right? The guy I met who was into music, who taught me music, he was a good guy. He wasn't into the drugs and all that stuff. He loved playing music. And because he loved playing music, I started to love playing music. And like I said, he got me into Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles. We could listen to music, play music, and that's all we needed to keep ourselves centered when we were 16, 17, 18 years old. So it's like, but like some people, they don't have that. And then they get, involved with the wrong groups or people and it drags them down, but they don't see that, right? Because you talk about gangs, what do they see? They see loyalty. And I completely understand that because when you join a gang, they beat you up and this and that, but they'll take a bullet for you, right? They have your back and they think that's I mean, like obviously the stuff they're doing is not good, but like that's where people get trapped in that stuff and you're just in such a bad environment, but it's loyalty. So that's just a different point of view, right? It's just like that's why people do that. And they get in gangs and they get in and they'll sell drugs on the street and this and that. And because it's part of their family. And I guess if you want to stem to, family, it's probably because their family failed them. And this is their only family. And that's a big problem with society, with the world is, like we've talked about it. It's just, it's raising, it's, parents, they have to be there, and when parents aren't there, we know what happens. So it's having a loving figure in your life. And once again, I mean, like I said, my parents weren't the best parents in the world, but they were there, but like I was fortunate enough to meet people along my way who were just loving, caring, and weren't into bad things. And I'm just very, very fortunate that way. And some people don't have that path, but it's, everybody just needs some love. And like I said, maybe if this kid was loved a little bit more, or I don't know, like, right. I don't know, but it's right. You got to take a test to drive a car, but you don't have to take a test to be a parent. And it all starts with being a parent, right? I mean, that's how you're most influenced when you're a child, and you learn your behaviors when you're a child. You're talking about 7 years old and I mean, what? Like, change? No, I don't. No, you don't know who you are at 7 years old. You don't know who you are when you're like 17, for
You don't
Christ's
know who you
sakes.
are when you're 40 half the time.
No, I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't make a decision for your child. That's why I don't push religion on my, I guess we talked about religion. That's why I don't push religion on my kids. I had religion pushed on me. I was altar boy. I was Catholic. I went to church. I went to mass. I went to a Catholic school. Like, I was, I was made to
Fan of
do
Mr.
these things.
Rogers. Fan of Mr. Rogers.
Hey, don't you dare.
Not on this
Don't you
episode.
dare. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I don't pressure religion and all that. That's why I tell you at the beginning, religion or fate or whatever, man, things happen for a reason, because religious people are going to tell you, well, that's God's plan. It was already written. That was already written.
I mentioned a couple times that
Right?
episode. I thought of you. I Googled the evil of Mr. Rogers, and it took me to a 15-minute YouTube video about the evil of Mr. Rogers, and I fucking clicked it, and I was so like, finally, it's coming out.
For all the YouTubers, all you guys on
He's putting
YouTube,
on a cardigan. Good God.
all the audio listeners,
But
even though
look,
it doesn't matches my shirt.
I listened to this 15-minute YouTube video on evil of Mr. Rogers,
All
and
right, now you can talk. Now
it's
I've-
the first couple of minutes goes, it's a woman talking, and she goes, I wrote a letter to Mr. Rogers when I found out I had a brain tumor, and he showed up and prayed with me by my bedside. And I was like, God damn it. I've been fooled. 15 minutes of just a sob story. And I was like, dude, all right. I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy. I just think he might be a cross dresser. That's what I'm going with.
You got to remember, back in that time period, even where I grew up, like, it was more acceptable to be that hands-on with kids, and for an older
I'm
gentleman
not saying
to
he's messing with kids. I'm saying he's a cross dresser.
what? Okay, so I mean, okay, so what if he secretly was? Who cares? Does
All
that
I'm
hurt
saying
anybody?
is that everyone's got a secret. And when you build up a person that, look, here's the thing that I was going to use as an example. So my nephew, for instance, is like 33 months or 34 months. I went to high five him. My brother's fiance says he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. And he would just say no. And I would be like, high five. He's like, no, no. And it was acting like I was like murdering him in a no way. And I said, what you're doing by telling him he doesn't have to do this, this isn't a forcing action. This is just a high five. What you're doing is now you're normalizing this to sound the exact same as if he's being raped or something. And that is an issue. You can't do that. When you start making things normal like that, or treating things that shouldn't be as severe as like murder, for instance, that's a severe action. When you talk about bullying or punching someone in the face, they go, well, then it could lead there. It can, but you're treating it as it's that. A person that kills someone should not be liable for the same thing as a person that got into a fight with someone. Assault and murder are two completely different actions, and they have two different consequences for a reason. So when you're normalizing something like that, when you treat this person, Mr. Rogers, for instance, as this wholesome, 100% pure person, you're now going to make it 1,000 times worse when they find out a little thing bad, like being a crossdresser is not that bad. But now you're imprinting into these people's minds that this is a pure person. There's nothing wrong with them. And then when that bad thing does come out, then they're completely shattered. And this is when people's
No.
illusions start. It's
Oh,
just, it works with anything like that.
well, it's like Freddie Mercury, dude. Freddie Mercury, probably the best rock singer of all time, and he used to go to like the crazy clubs in New York City. And does anybody look at Freddie Mercury any different because what his sexual orientation was? No, the guy was a kick-ass dude who can fucking sing his ass off.
Okay, but
right?
You're conflating two completely different examples.
No. Mr. Rogers was a nice guy who fucking
There you
helped
go.
kids.
You just proved my point. You're saying that Mr. Rogers, good guy. Freddie Mercury, amazing singer. he has been known.
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury's been known to do some pretty bad shit because he's a rock star.
Drugs. He did drugs and this and
But
that.
Mr.
Okay.
Rogers is built up in your mind as this pure God-like human person. Like there's this is like God in the pure essence of human. I've seen it on Twitter when it was his birthday. Now, when something bad comes out, people are gonna be like, "What?" You don't care if it's Freddie Mercury doing that. Like when I found out Prince was an asshole, he smashed people's guitars and shit. I was like, well, I mean, I wasn't surprised. He's a rock star. Like, what the fuck? You're building up this like perfect family man, and then when something bad does come out, you're gonna be very upset with it. And I'm
No,
like,
you know what?
just
Let me
expect that
let me
he's
tell you.
human, not
No,
expect that he's a
because
monster.
no, I'm gonna give you the Michael Jackson scenario, right?
He was an
Because
asshole too.
but wait, but like, all right, this dude, Michael Jackson, got thrown through the goddamn mud with everything, touching this Jesus juice, blah 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 blah
He
blah blah. Right?
suspectedly killed Tupac. Did you know that him and Tupac had
Shut
beef
up.
before he died? Yeah, there's fight like
Oh boy.
messages back and forth between each other. Actually, in Michael Jackson, one of his songs, apparently he mentioned Tupac, and Tupac actually wrote a rap about Michael Jackson. It's like the same thing with Ice Cube and Cypress Hill. They had beef back and forth. I didn't know that about Michael
Anyways,
Jackson until it came out.
yeah, I didn't know that. Anyways, but still, you know what I mean. So Michael Jackson's like personal life is just a fucking mess. Okay. Just a mess. But the man is an absolute musical genius, in my opinion. Right. So the man can sing and write music like
So that's
nobody
okay for
else.
messing with
Okay.
kids.
No, no,
Gotcha.
no.
Thank you for
Oh
normalizing
my
that.
God. You fucking listen to me. So, you know, I can respect that part of his life, but all that other shit, man, like I don't have to respect it. I respect him as a musician. I probably as a father, because dude, everyone said I mean, you know, he was the best dad in the world, right? I mean,
So you're telling me if I told you right now and you found out that Mr. Rogers
yeah,
had
Mr. Rogers did cocaine. Who gives a shit? He
that's not what
helped
I'm
how many
saying.
kids?
That's
I
not what I'm
mean,
saying. Imagine if somebody told you Mr. Rogers was a pedophile and he secretly had a bunch of kids that he had molested, like
that's
a
not
Bill
gonna happen.
Cosby. But what happens if that did? You're telling me your opinion on him is not going to be separated from the fact that he was this wholesome guy. You're going to have a different thought on him. Just keep that in your mind. I'm just
It's
saying,
just
I've guessed a lot of shit. I'm not even going to
like,
continue this
this is the
conversation anymore.
one thing you will get wrong,
I bet.
Mr. Rogers.
I'm putting a bet on it.
Because it's like the priest
I
thing,
want
right?
your
So,
soul.
because dude, I was an altar boy. My priest never touched me, never advanced on me ever. So it's like, but like, you're just like, oh, but he's a man of God. And then you find out he touched like 30 boys and this and that, right? And you're just like, oh, what? So now you're not supposed to respect priests or men of
Bet
the
me your
cloth?
soul. Bet me your
Or,
soul. Bet me
I
your
mean,
soul.
no, but I mean, like I said,
Bet
what
me
is
your
it?
soul if you're so damn confident.
Well, Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
Bet you my soul.
I want to say
Now if I turn the Ghost Rider,
Michael Ferrando, bet my
I
soul to Robbie that if
I
Mr.
Michael
Rogers has anything
Mr.
bad about him that will make
doesn't
me
have
change my
anything bad.
opinion,
If it happens, then I will turn into Ghost Rider.
no, that you're going to bet me your soul. I want your soul.
You can have my soul. Swallow your soul.
Yes. All right. Everyone heard it. It's been live recorded.
Oh my god.
Um,
Me and him, like, look, people that are listening and watching, we like message about this stuff, like personally.
this is a long running
This
thing.
is not, yeah, this isn't like for the podcast, for our podcast conversation. This is real. Like we go back and forth texting about this.
I have hired 3 genealogists and 2 family historians that are now researching the history of Mr. Rogers, so we'll find some evidence at some point. I'm not fucking I've been messaging his wife and everything.
Shut the fuck up.
I emailed her
Man.
4 times and I emailed
Shut
Papa
up.
John twice, but he's not answering me either.
Yeah, that's
I saw his videos, interviews, so I was like, I want to get
there
you
you
on the
go.
show.
So okay, there's a perfect example. Papa John's. Are you still gonna eat Papa John's pizza?
No, because Papa John's pizza is shit.
What?
Yeah,
They have
Domino's.
they have new stuff. Oh, I love Domino's.
Domino's, oregano on the crust. That's it. I don't need anything else in my life.
I do the
Little
Brooklyn.
Caesars can kiss
I
my
do the
ass.
Brooklyn. I do the Brooklyn style with Domino's. So good.
They still put oregano on the crust.
Yeah.
That's how if you put oregano on anything, it tastes like Domino's pizza because that's all they do with their crust is they just
Crust is so good.
We're wrapping it, Mike. We talked a lot, and I have to use the little boy's room.
I wonder if Mr. Rogers will be in there.
Oh my God. I'll make sure I link your show in the description. And thanks for listening to this episode Out of the Blank podcast.